What lies beyond time? Is time a physical property of the universe? How many billions of years does it take to touch the fringe of infinity? How many years must go by before the human mind crumbles to fathom the results of existence? Beyond these questions lie answers that would drive any mortal person absolutely insane. Rather than having hundreds, if not thousands of years pass by with the evidence of its worship left behind by real cultures of the world, the first appearance of Cthulhu was in a fictional writing by author H.P. Lovecraft known as The Call of Cthulhu in 1928. It was included in a series of short stories compiled in a pulp magazine known as Weird Tales. The story is narrated by a man named Francis Wayland Thurston, who was investigating a cult located in multiple parts of the world that worshipped the god. His travels begin with the discovery of a bas-relief of the god found with some notes left behind by his late uncle. They end in Oslo, Norway, where a journal is given to him by the widow of Gustav Johansen that tells of the events that led to his death. Gustav had written it in English so his wife could not read it in order to protect her. In the writings it tells of how Gustav and his fellow sailors were fired upon by another vessel, filled with cult members, of which they in turn took over and killed the crew. On it they sailed to an uncharted island where they accidentally released Cthulhu. Gustav had narrowly escaped it by ramming the monster with his vessel, but as he sailed away, he witnessed it reforming from its injuries. Gustav died mysteriously near the coast of Norway after an encounter with two sailors, and it is assumed that they were also cult members. Thurston realizes that Cthulhu is free and he knows too much. This story is one of plenty by Lovecraft throughout the mythos he created. Within this pantheon of stories and old gods, there exists a fictional book known as the Necronomicon. This book of spells entails an account of multiple old ones when it states Cthulhu as their cousin, yet can he spy them only dimly. The book appears in the 1921 work The Nameless City and in The Call of Cthulhu 7 years later. The Nameless City is often considered to be the first story in the Cthulhu mythos. In both stories, a quotation from the book is ascribed to the protagonist. That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange eons even death may die. These two lines may describe how infinitely immortal the old ones are, and as such, may outlive all forms of life. The origin of Cthulhu was never fully explained in the mythos. In the novella, The Whisperer in the Darkness, which was published in 1931, the main character learns how the god came to be. His name is Albert N. Wilmarth, and he is an instructor at the fictional Miskatonic University, located in the fictional town of Arkham, Massachusetts. After he sees the newspapers talk about a historic flood in Vermont and the strange things seen floating in the rivers, he receives a letter from a man who lives in an isolated farmhouse near Townshend, Vermont. The man's name was Henry Akeley. After several warnings to stop investigating the mysterious race of creatures claimed to be responsible for disappearances in the town, he has a sudden change of heart. Henry claims to have met the creatures and that they are peaceful. He asks to meet with Albert and to bring all the letters and evidence about the creatures with him. On the first night there, Albert listens to Henry and learns many secrets of the universe, including Cthulhu's origin. However, he never explains it to the reader because of how close to madness he had come just by hearing it. It is later revealed that Henry's body had been a creature in disguise the whole time. From the description and function described by Lovecraft's stories, Cthulhu could be a living black hole. Upon seeing the creature, instead of light reaching your eyes and then your brain for comprehension, the exact opposite would occur if you were close enough to its proximity, similar to an event horizon. You would have unthoughts. You would begin to lose memories of your own identity. The sense of reality would discontinue and all manner of cognitive abilities would collapse into a degrading hodgepodge of nonsense. Up would be your arms. Down would be a door. The door would open into a view out of your own eyes. Since thinking or hearing about the creature can also drive people insane, it could be said that this black hole function transcends matter and light by affecting human thoughts as if they were a tangible property of the universe. Cthulhu appears in a story arc of 3 episodes on the long-running animated comedy series South Park. When a company called DP, a comical reference to BP, drills a hole in the Gulf that reaches into another dimension, they end up drilling on the moon to change its gravitational pull on the Earth to solve the problem. This releases Cthulhu, and the character Coon, Eric Cartman's alter ego, ends up befriending the monster and uses him to send his friends to the dark oblivion. He then goes on a rampage and kills Justin Bieber and his fans. Cthulhu appears in the intro sequence of every episode of Rick and Morty, another animated comedy series. However, he has not yet been featured in any of the episodes in the 3 seasons released so far. Since the show deals with dimensional travel, the introduction could feature things that might happen, already happened off-screen, or will happen. In the video game genre, The Call of Cthulhu features a protagonist that investigates the deaths of the Hawkins family in an island town called Darkwater, just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. He soon finds himself going down a rabbit hole of horrific revelations. This eventually leads to him stumbling on a cult that wants to summon the Great Old One, Cthulhu.